Well, hello everybody. Hello and welcome to this little video on how to pronounce Hebrew. I'm really looking forward to going through Isaiah 53 with you all. It's going to be really fun. I really hope you gain a new interest and enthusiasm for the Old Testament and for the Hebrew language. And so we're going to be looking at how to pronounce Hebrew. This is a system that's made up specifically for this course, so you won't find it anywhere else. And it's based on the modern Israeli pronunciation of Hebrew. And that's because there's lots of different ways you can pronounce Hebrew. And I think the Israeli one is by far the least complicated. And it's also based on real living Jewish pronunciation. When you read the Old Testament for your bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah, then you'd be using modern Israeli Hebrew pronunciation of the Old Testament. And also it would help you if you ever wanted to learn modern Hebrew as well. So that's the thinking behind using the modern Hebrew pronunciation found in Israel. And so we're going to go through now the different sounds of the Hebrew that we're going to be reading during this course. And first of all, we're going to look at the vowels. Now, before we get jumping in, I would like to say that each letter is pronounced individually in this system. It's not like English where you get some silent letters. It's always, each letter is always pronounced, and it's always pronounced the same, unlike in English. So hopefully a lot easier than the English writing system. So let's have a look at the vowels. So the first one, a, halfway between cat and father is how you'd pronounce it. So like in the Hebrew word for what, which is ma. Ma means what. So when you see that letter, you know you need to pronounce it ah, which is not quite as short as a and not quite as long as r in father. So ma. The next one is this one, and that's a bit easier, just pronounced like the e in English, egg. So a word you may have come across before in the Bible. The first bit of Benjamin is Ben, meaning son. So Ben is how you pronounce that word. The next vowel is this one, a little bit more complicated, in it's not I or I, but E, like you'd see in an Italian word, like pizza. So you'd pronounce that Hebrew word, which means from, as min, min. So whenever you see that letter, you pronounce it E. Next one, a bit easier, it's like English o, like in the English word hot. So the word for this in biblical Hebrew is zot. So that's how you pronounce that, zot. And as I go through this, please do be pronouncing this to yourself. Don't be afraid to pronounce it out loud, to have a go at these sounds for yourself. That's really going to help you to remember them if you copy me and have a go at pronouncing them as you go along. And then the last vowel is like the oo in crude. So not you or but oo, like the word for he, which is who, who. So that's the vowels. A, E, I, O, U is how they're pronounced in this system of pronouncing biblical Hebrew. So that's the vowels. Now let's go on to practice them a little bit. So the Hebrew, one of the Hebrew words for God is Elohim. Have a go at pronouncing that yourself, Elohim. And you can see that there's a little accent on top of the E in Elohim. That shows that's the stressed vowel, the vowel that you put most of your emphasis into, which in Hebrew is normally on the last syllable, but as we'll see in the following words, sometimes it changes to the one before the last syllable. So you can't always tell it's going to be on the last syllable. That's why I put these little accents in. So Elohim means God. The word for word or thing or matter, it's quite an important word, is davar, davar. Then the word for Jeremiah, Jeremiah's name in Hebrew is Yirmiyahu, Yirmiyahu. So have a go at pronouncing that, Yirmiyahu. Then the word for the Jews, a word that funnily enough doesn't crop up very much in the Old Testament, is Yehudim, Yehudim. And then the word for Ezer, found in the name Ebenezer, which means the stone of help, is Ezer. Ezer means help. So that's a go at pronouncing the vowels. Now let's have a look at the consonants. Now these consonants here are pretty straightforward because they're very similar to, or the same as we pronounce them in English. So b, d, f, g, h, k, l, m, n, p, s, and t. So they're all quite similar, if not the same, to English. And I put here that one letter corresponds to one Hebrew letter. That means that one letter in the system that we're learning now, having a look at, corresponds to one letter that you'd find in the actual real Hebrew writing. Some people, when they make a system for pronouncing Hebrew, they sometimes use two letters. For example, Hebrew has a sound sh. Now in English, we write that with an S and an H. But I find that a little bit confusing because that's ambiguous. Does SH mean sh, or does it mean s? Do you see? Does it mean the sound s and the sound h next to each other? That's why in this system, we've got one letter for one sound corresponding, as Hebrew has, one letter for one sound. So those are the obvious consonants. We're now going to look at some of the ones that aren't so obvious. And the first one is this. And that is pronounced like in Scottish loch. It's a good sound in Scottish, it's in Welsh, it's in lots of languages like German and things as well, and it's also in Hebrew. So that's, you can see the word for king is melech, melech, with the sound at the end. So whenever you see that K with a little hat on top of it, it makes the sound. Next, we've got a T with a little line underneath it, and that's like ts in cats. So whenever you see that T, imagine it's got a little S underneath it. That little line underneath represents a little S. And that's like in the word tzedek, which means righteousness. Tzedek. So that's ch and t. Next consonant to look at is one we were just thinking about just now, which is sh, like the sh in rush. So a very important word in the Hebrew Old Testament is Shem, which means name. And you can see, if you see an S with a little hat on it, that's sh, Shem. Next, we've got r, not quite so difficult, but it's pronounced not like r, like we do in English, but a little bit more rolled, like in Spanish or Italian or other continental languages. So Rosh is the word for head, as in Rosh Hashanah, which means the head of the year or the start of the year. Rosh is head. Have a go at pronouncing Rosh. And don't worry if you find rolled R's a little bit difficult. Lots of people do. Just have a go at it and make the nearest sound you can. Rosh. Next one, that's a funny one, isn't it? A little apostrophe. And whenever you see that, that's a glottal stop sound, like in the Cockney word butter. It's basically your neck cutting off the sound. It's stopping the sound from coming out, the air from coming out, just a sound, butter. So whenever you see that, you know that that's how you pronounce it. So the name for Saul in the Old Testament is Shaul. Do you hear the way that I stopped, like the glottal stop, stopping the air coming out? Shaul. Have a go at pronouncing that. Shaul. Which means asked for, by the way. So let's have a go at pronouncing some Hebrew words now. I'd love you to have a go at pronouncing that. So have a go now. It's the word for the temple, and it's pronounced heichal, heichal. There you see the ch sound, which is the K with the hat on top of it. Heichal is the temple. Now have a go at pronouncing that word, which means the land. So you pronounce land in Hebrew, eretz, eretz. You can see the little T with the line underneath it means a ts sound. So that the land in Hebrew is eretz. Next one, the Messiah in Hebrew. Have a go at pronouncing that. So the Messiah in Hebrew is Ha-Mashiach, Ha-Mashiach. And you can see there, you're starting to learn a little bit of Hebrew grammar, that the in Hebrew is ha. So the Messiah is Ha-Mashiach. Next one. Bit easier there, the word for a lamb. Have a go at pronouncing it. It's pronounced seh. Now you notice that it ends with an H, but words that end with an H in Hebrew, that H is silent. As we often see in our English New Testaments, the word Isaiah, you don't pronounce the H at the end, it's just Isaiah. So it's the same when we see this written down. If an H appears at the end of a word, it's not pronounced. So the word for a lamb is seh. Now here's the word for the people. Have a go at pronouncing that. So the people is pronounced in Hebrew ha'am, beginning with that glottal stop, ha'am, the people. So just people is am, and then the people is ha'am. Next, there's the prophet Isaiah, a little bit more complicated, but have a go at pronouncing that. So I'll do it slowly so you can have a go at copying me. It's Yeshayahu Hanavi. Yeshayahu Hanavi. So Yeshayahu means God is saves, or God is salvation. Ha means the, and then Navi is prophet. Yeshayahu Hanavi. So there we go. That's how to pronounce Hebrew. I hope you enjoyed that, and I've got a little bit of the knack of how to pronounce Hebrew and the system that we'll be using in this course. Any problems, do email me, but I hope that you enjoyed that, and I'll see you soon.